welcome everyone to an informal session on working with Canvas. All right, so basically assuming that logging into Canvas is not an issue. If there is an issue, we can go back and try it again. So
yeah, would you please start from the beginning?
Sure.
Thank you.
I will. Okay. So the Canvas page for ITU has this particular link, or the URL for Canvas is https://itumax.instructure.com login/Canvas. I can share this later on with you, and we can put an active link on the website. Basically, I think where the students' access are listed, there should be a link to Canvas. And this is for everyone, so that way everyone can get there easily. And then normally you specify your email address, your login. The first time that you receive an invitation through the Canvas administration at school, they will basically send you a link, and this link corresponds to this, that you basically ask you to specify your username, and normally the username is your email address, and then it asks you to enter a password, and you decide on a password.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, and then you click login. It will get you to the page. If you have already set up, oops, it says didn't log.
It only counts when people are looking. That's my experience.
I think I just made a mistake. All right, so when you log in, provided that if it's the first time, you'll get there by saying accept, and then it will basically accept the invitation. But normally what happens at the beginning of each semester, when the registrar decides that these are the classes that are going to be offered, normally either the Canvas administration group, administration, or the registrar's office will set up the course shell for you. So when you log into your account, you should see your course showing up. And here it says practice BUA. There are some things that you can change here. For example, here.
So let me explain what those are. One of them is a training class that we sent you a link as a student to work through. It's called Growing with Canvas. And then within that class, it's got assignments that need to be completed, but you're a faculty member, so when you create the assignments, you can create them in another course, which is practice assignment.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also had a discussion about giving all the pilot faculty a course that they could play around with until we get the production site up, and that's what your practice BUA is.
That's right, yes. So this one, it gives you a little bit of option in terms of customization. If you are not a purple color person, you can come here, change the color, and you see there is a code here, okay? And it says practice BUA 500. You have the option of changing the nickname as well to something that is more comfortable for you. Let's say if the registrar's office has a long name for the course, and you don't want to, is it this? You have, let's say, the session 1, session 2, and you just say, okay, this is the weekend class, this is the, like the weekday classes or something like that, so that it's easier for you. And when you say apply, then it will change the color. So let's say if I'm a blue color kind of person, so it changes to blue here. Okay.
And for the pilot faculty that will be playing around, learning, etc., Peter suggested the nomenclature of practice with the name of the code of the class. So in that case, when we switch from a sandbox to production interface, we can clearly identify what the classes were that faculty were playing around with, rather than
that's right.
the new terms classes.
Yeah. So, for example, when I use mine, I basically, rather than having a long code for the class, I normally say summer of 2019, for example, or fall of 2019. This way I know that this is my class and it's offered here, because you'll see later on, right now we're new, so we see just one class. Later on, when you generate classes, you see other
Many.
classes that you have from previous semesters. So that way, in order to avoid confusion, you can basically
That's a good suggestion.
change the name. Now, so let's click on this and see what sort of word does it get us to. So if it gets you to the home page, and you see I don't have anything here. On the left-hand side, you have a whole bunch of basically links. These are all active links. Some of them are grayed out like this, and some of them are active or highlighted like this. The ones that are grayed out, it means there's no content there. So that's an indication that you need to enter something in order for this to become highlighted. From all of this, I would like to basically, first, at least for the first phase, talk about a few of them. One is the announcement. The other one is assignment, files, and modules, and then syllabus. Okay, so let's see what sort of the general definition of these are. Announcements, if you want to make general announcement to the students. The midterm exam is coming up next week. Just be aware there's going to be a session here. Any an announcement of general nature, you want to use this tool for the announcement. And you see if I click here, there's nothing here, so here there's an explanation here, and you can make an announcement, for example, by clicking here. And this is a good idea for everyone to have a welcome message for your course. So here you say, for example, I type welcome message. And it says, hello class, welcome to, I don't know, BizAd or whatever, Business 500. And this class starts at this. Here is the textbook, although you have all this information elsewhere, but it's kind of it's just giving a message to the students that, welcome, and the class starts at this time. Make sure everyone has, or if you need students to do anything before coming to the class, it's a good place to announce. Please make sure that you have the textbook with you, or install this particular software, or something which is of general nature. You can put it here, and then you make an announcement. Also for the other announcement in class. So that's one thing that, so I say a welcome message, and for now I'm just saying, hello class, and I say welcome. Okay, and then I come down here and save it. There are a lot of options here for now. You can do delay posting and things like that. But for now, making it simple, just saving this, and you'll see this shows up. And now if you click on the announcement, you'll see that announcement is highlighted. And if you click here, it shows you your announcement message here. Okay. The next one, which is also important, is the syllabus. So you can also click on the syllabus, and this is if you have your syllabus already prepared, you click here, and this one you basically copy and paste your syllabus over here, and it shows up, and then you save it, and you can update the syllabus here.
Does this also pre-populate like the EMS does? Or it's just a file that you would take your paper syllabus document information in?
This is an HTML editor, meaning that you basically have to copy and paste into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's no download, you can download the file.
Not in this case. I'll show you how to do that actually in a different place as well. Okay, so I do it both ways. So students can have quick access to it. Also in the module, I normally generate a general module for the course that has syllabus, that has other things that I also put it there. So here you can just copy and paste your syllabus into here if you want to use this. Otherwise, let's say you decide that you don't want to use the editor and copy and paste, and you want to upload a file here.
Yeah.
So you click on the second, you see here it says links, and here you click on the file pane. And then here you say you choose a file. It allows you to upload a file here. And then after the file shows up here, it gives you this option of upload becomes available. So you click on this and it will upload a file here. So that's basically if you already have in a special format, you want it to be displayed.
Yeah, that's what.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's
Also-
good, actually, I'm sorry, that's good if you upload it, and also probably under the syllabus here, you can write what is important to, to
Correct.
draw attention of the student. Make sure you do this,
Yeah,
something, not you do, but I mean when you put like whatever important you want the student to focus on from the syllabus here is also another option.
Right, that's attachment. Also, Canvas can also aggregate different assignments, discussion, and quizzes into the syllabus too. So there are two sections. So one is static, you do the editing and do the upload file. The other thing is dynamic, right? The
Yeah, those are different places here.
But they will aggregate different places into the syllabus. So when you create.
You can generate, you talk about having links from the syllabus into other places? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, they will automatically aggregate those links into the syllabus for you. That's the function of Canvas.
Yeah, that's true, but I think at this stage maybe that's too complicated. You may want to, if you see this is easier to do, definitely an option for sure. But at this stage, I think it's just easy to put something here that shows up and you can take a look.
Dr. Jahan, sorry to interrupt. In terms of whether you're uploading a syllabus file or you're using the HTML editor, in your experience, which has been the better option for you as a faculty?
I normally do this. I normally upload the syllabus here so that students have quick access to it. But as a file, I upload it as a file, and I'll show you where I normally put it in the modules. Basically, that's the other thing that I normally do. I can show you some of the pages that I already have elsewhere. Okay, so this is the announcement part. This is the sort of the syllabus. The next thing I want to discuss is files. Okay, so we go to the files here, and what I normally do is that I copy this file. I mimic whatever I have on my computer for a specific class. So I never normally organize classes. Let me show you, for example, one of the classes directories that I have. For example, this is the course I just wrapped up, okay, 513 financial engineering. And normally, these are some general stuff, but I normally have a homework and exam directory. I have a lecture notes directory, and if I have some code associated with that, I'll put it all here, okay. Now, this is where I keep all the files. It's not chronological, it's not ordered, but it's where it's like a,
Well, you can always find them.
yeah,
for
where
each class.
it's easy for me to access. And I have this structure for all my courses. Some of them, they have some extra ones because, and some of them don't have Python code because there's no such a thing there. But basically, I organize it this way. And when I now coming to the file section, I also try to mimic the same kind of, copy the same kind of directories here. So if you want to generate a folder, you click on the files. In your case, it would be grayed out because you don't have anything in it, okay? But you click on the file, and then you come here and you click on the folder like this. So this is where the location is. I click on the folder and I generate, for example, I say Python code. Okay. And then you click here, and now you have 3 directories here. Now let's say, okay, you've already prepared the course or it's in progress. I have a couple of notes that are already prepared. So I had 2 lecture notes that I already prepared. This is the Intro to Python Part 1, Part 2. And let's say I have a Part 3. So I want to add another file here. So I come here, now I'm in the directory for lecture notes. I come here, I say upload, and then I get to the right directory that I have in on my computer. Let's see, ITU. And let's say come here and I go Python code, and I have a whole bunch here. Let me see. No, I'm sorry.
You're in lecture notes.
Lecture notes. Okay, so this is, I want to upload Part 3 here. I come here, click on the open. You see, it basically uploads it, and see what happens. As soon as I upload it, it basically turns this green button on. The indication of this green button means that this is accessible or viewable by other people. So let's say this is something that you need to expose to the student in 2 weeks. You don't want. So this concept in Canvas is called publishing. When you publish it, it's accessible for people to see. If you can see it yourself, but for others, they cannot see it. So this way you can control, gradual introduction of things for the students. So if you don't want to publish it, because it defaults to that, you click on the green button and it becomes unpublished like this. And this way, so you have this publish, unpublished control at different levels. Right now, this is at the file level.
So if you publish it, you can go back and unpublish it?
Yes.
So it's taken out,
That's
it's not
right.
final when
That's
you
right.
publish it?
And so this way you can, yes.
Okay.
And now I want to show you something, again, if I click here on the top level, you see lecture notes, I have unpublished it, but the other 2 are published. So if you decide that, no, for now I'm just developing it for myself, I don't want anyone else to see it, you can just click it like that and make it unpublished. But in order for this to be viewable by others, it has to be at both levels. One at the directory, higher level directory level, the other one at the file level. This is important because sometimes the student complains, you think that you've done it, but the top level is not published. So you said, okay, homework 3 has been loaded or uploaded. Students come and say, oh, I don't see it. I said, how come? I'll put it up there, and then you come and notice that the top level hasn't been published. Okay. So you organize your files like this, and you can make as many directories if you want to make it hierarchical. Let's say homework, you want to do it, you have a weekly class and you want to organize it based on week 1, week 2, week 3. You can still come here, generate more subdirectories and store the files inside that. So it's more, okay, so now let's publish it for now. And so here we took care of the files, and then if I click here or somewhere else, you'll see that files now is highlighted. Okay, so this means that you already have something stored in files. Okay. Then, if you have your students here, your people basically should list everyone here. In this case, it's my name and Patty's name here listed. But in your case, it would be your name and your student's name. Okay? And let's say you have a TA for your class or somebody else you want to have an invited. Let's say you have some experience with this class and there's a new instructor whom you want to allow to sit in and look at your material. So you can actually click here on the people, and then you have to specify the email address and you have to specify the role. You can have as a teacher, you can have as a TA, you can have as a designer, you can have as an observer.
And we just discussed this, thank you so much for talking about this. We just discussed this, that our HODs and department chairs need to have access to the department, so you would be an
As
observer.
observer.
Observer, you can add it.
Yeah.
That's right. So the faculty will add me.
Yes.
Oh.
Well, it could be, but it's probably gonna be Peter that would add you.
Yeah, but I mean here, he can add me because
Yes,
he put
that's
out the
right.
people.
All the, you have the option of doing this or somebody else.
Yeah,
is doing
yeah,
this.
that's
But
right.
but like he said, you've got a new faculty member that's gonna teach a class, you could add them as an observer or whatever, excuse me for pointing, but you could add them and include them so they can review the material or whatever.
Yeah, and this is good for a TA because each of these levels have certain privileges.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
For example, none of these people except teacher can modify grades.
yes.
Nobody can modify grades except for the instructor. But they can see what materials you post, what schedule, everything else is accessible to them. TA can correct grade, but they cannot enter, for example, post solutions, for example. You have to provide that privilege for them.
Yeah.
There's, in the settings you can control basically. But anyway, this was just a feature I thought I'll mention as well.
Great.
That's great.
And then you type the email address here and it automatically, they get sent a message. Also, I think this goes through the administration as well. They review it, they get this, check to see if this is the right person.
So when you're trying to add students, I'm trying to equate it, I guess, with EMS's student roster that we currently have. Is this the same feature or am I talking about?
No, it's a similar, but this one is a little bit more extensive because it's the control level is, or the scope of, yeah, it's the.
And in terms of, if I have like an Excel document with a list of all my student email IDs, am I able to copy that list and paste it over there to add students into this?
Yes, you can, you
Okay.
can. But this is provided that, because the name of the students come populated. This is the
Yeah.
job of
That
the
would-
registrar.
Right, right,
It should show up
right.
Automatically.
automatically, student ID, email address, all of those. So sending email messages to students is very easy.
Perfect.
You shouldn't add. This is only for special cases, let's say if you want to add a
Someone's
single
late.
student, yes, late or something like that.
It's facilitated through Peter and the registrar.
Right, and I'm also, I guess, the reason for my question was in the interim for summer 2019, when we're just, when we're in transition, if there are anomalies or the entire student list hasn't been transferred across from EMS to Canvas, then that's an option that we could also utilize, I guess. But that's good to know that it comes pre-populated,
Yeah.
so then
Yeah.
we don't need to do anything.
And also normally, as I said, this goes through a check channel basically, that they say, okay, this person has been added, is he registered or not, is he qualified to add? Okay, then the next one is, okay, so another thing here that we can add is not listed here, but attendance is something that you can add as in the settings, you can set as an attendance as well, because in our school attendance is pretty important.
We'll probably get a tutorial on that or some kind of training documents because they have a company IT's already contracted with a company to do attendance. I forget the name of it, but it's something that is similar to ours. It's got maybe a few more features, but we'll hear more about that later.
Yeah, so there's an option here on Canvas to add that module here, yes. So module is mostly a way you organize your course on weekly or weekend basis. So you basically say, okay, here's module 1, which is gonna happen all in one day, or let's say one week, Tuesday night, okay? Then I'm gonna pull this file for the lecture to bring it to module week 1. And bring the homework assignment from assignments into.
You have two copies of the same file, one in the files, one in the appropriate folder for that module.
No, module is basically a link to the same, it won't duplicate it.
Oh, I see.
So if that's not published in the file section, the module will not be, there's a link there, but it won't show anything.
But if I load it in the files folder, all my lectures, lecture 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
whatever, and the syllabus say which one is offered when, what's the purpose of module?
I'll show you. This is basically a little bit better organization. That's more like your repository, if you will.
Yeah.
You have all your stuff there.
Yeah.
And then here, in the module, you pick and choose which of those should go together. And what date they should happen on what date.
So you have example?
Yes, I'll make it right now.
Okay.
Okay. So here we come to the module that, in my opinion, this is the way you organize things,
Yeah.
basically. So first thing I normally do with the module is that I'll generate a general module. I call it general course information or something like that.
Or like Dr. Tao showed us a couple of weeks ago, his first one was introduction. or
Introduction, something
that.
like that, okay? So you add this module, and now because you added this module, you can add items to this, okay? This is where I normally add the syllabus. If I need a software students to have access, for example, the students are using certain compilers or certain databases that they need to install before coming to class. They have this. So I click here, and then now let's see what sort of options are available inside a module. If you click here, you can have an assignment inside the module. You can have a quiz, you can have a regular file, you can have a page, you can have a discussion, text editor, external URL, or internal external tools, okay? So one thing that I normally use a lot is this text header, basically for organization. This is just a label, that's it, there's nothing more, but it helps you organize. So for example, instead, I normally do something like this, detailed syllabus, okay. And you can decide whether you want to indent it or not. I normally, for the headings, I normally indent one level here, and here it says detailed syllabus. Now I can say, okay, I go to files, and then I look at the files and I see that under new files, I have only these three. So, oh, maybe I should upload the syllabus separately as well. Okay, so here I can do this and say choose file. Okay, and let's say, I don't know, let's look for the syllabus here. Let's say this is the syllabus, okay? And it asks you where do you want to put it. See, if you click here, you can also organize it. If I have a general course folder, I can put my syllabus there, I can put other files under that, and then let's say I've put it already, let's say in lecture notes. I come here, okay, and this says, where do you want to actually put this? And I said this should go under lecture notes. And then here I say, okay, this is level 3 because I want to indent it more so it looks good. So this goes here, it loads the file. Now this file, because it didn't exist in my file directory, I had to add it. If I already had that already over there, all I had to do is to choose from the list. So it provides a link to this. Does that make sense, Ahmed? Okay. So, and you see this automatically comes out as published. If you don't want it, again, click on here.
Before you go to here, where do you specify the module is, which days, how many weeks, da, 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 da?
Yeah, this is the one. So this is the general one. This means there's no date associated with that.
I see.
Okay? But let's say I add another thing here. So this is the detailed syllabus. I say, for example, software installation. I may have another label here says tools or software installation, for example. And I make this level 1, add an item. So this is another title, and then I'll add another file that says how to install a specific software. Okay, so let's say we're done with the general course info, okay? And now we add another one, okay? Here I call it, let's say we're talking about a weekly. So here you say week 1, and let's say the start day is June. You can say, for example, 6, let's say it's June 1st, 19 to something like this. So let's say this is week 1. Now here you can basically now add your titles here. So I put a text header here and I say week 1 objective. So you see here, I put the objective, week 1 objective here. I add another one and it says week 1 lecture notes. Then I can say, for example, week 1 deliverables. Doesn't like the spelling of deliverables for some reason. And sometimes I put additional resources. Okay, so now I generate all the labels for week 1. Okay, now underneath this, I can add the items I want. For example, let's say I want to, for objectives, is, let's say, because this is just a text, it's going to be a header, review, Python basics. So and then here's how you can move it. Basically, it shows up at the last item. I'll move it up here. So now you see, now week 1 objective, I have one of the objectives is this one, that I want to review basic Python. Okay, I can add a couple of more here and say this is what I'm trying to achieve. So when the students look at this, they know that, okay, this week this is what the discussion is going to be. You can say, for example, here, objectives, you can say by the end of this week, you learn about this if you want to make it more detailed. Okay. Lecture notes, let's say I go now, this is probably what you want. I go to files and I know that I've uploaded this guy over here. Okay, and I said add item. So actually this one, it brings a link to that file that I already have generated in the files. And I bring it here. And now this is the lecture notes that I have here. If you want the students to, for example, go and watch a video, and you will know what the video content or the link for this is, you can also say, I want an external URL, and let's say it's a YouTube video on, I don't know, let's say, if I find something on YouTube, let's say this is a YouTube video that I'm interested. So I take this link and I come here. I take the URL link and say here's to BA video. So here's a link now to that video, and I put it here. And then deliverables are basically assignments and things the student need to do. Okay, so I come here, I generate an assignment. This is an interesting one because it requires a little bit more work. You come here and say it's an assignment, and because I don't have any pre-assigned assignment, so I'll say the new assignment. And I say this is homework 1, for example. So it generates something called homework 1, but still there's no content here. So it's just a link. So what you do, you click here on the homework 1, and it takes you to another page that says it's an assignment. See where it goes. It takes you to the assignment page, meaning as soon as you assign something as a homework, as an assignment, it basically populates the assignment tab. It goes under there automatically. Okay, so now you want to basically say what it is that you want to do. You can basically either, if the assignment is, see here is the name of the assignment, here is the content. If you already have a file that you've already typed up, you come here and you click on files like this, and you say upload a new file. You say choose a file, and let me just choose something like that. Let's say this was the assignment the students were supposed to do, or homework one, let's say. So it shows up that this file is about to be, and unless you click on the upload, it won't upload it. And then here it says, where do you want to put it? I say, I want to put it in homework file. Okay, because this file was not loaded before, I just remembered that, oh, I need to do, or I just did it tonight. I want to upload it now, I say upload. See, now you have this file showing up here. If you don't want to do this, meaning that you don't have and you want to type, you can also type here. Say homework 1, for example, like this, and then you can just type, you know.
Like on EMS.
Yeah, you just type the content of the homework assignment. But if you already prepared it and there's a date and everything else, so you basically put it like that. Now, we just took care of the homework description. Now you have to specify how many points you want to assign. So in this case, you say, okay, I'm assigning out of 10 or out of 100, whatever you want. There you say it's an assignment. It's based on points. You can also have other percentage if you want, but points is something that I normally use, and it's easy for me to sort of organize it at the end of that term. Here, when you come to the submission type, it says no submission, defaults to that. You say, I want an online submission, or if it's a hand-in, you say it's a paper submission. You still can track your paper, you know, if you collect it, you can still enter it, you know, a holding place for it here, so that when you want to grade it, you can put the grades into the system. You don't have to enter it into a spreadsheet or anything. There's already a placeholder for it. So here I want them to do online. So let's say this is online. It says file uploads. And if there is a media recording, somebody has to record a video and then upload it. You can specify here. It tells you what sort of things, what sort of limitation in terms of file size. Then here, do you want to assign it to everyone, or is a specific student needs to do this? Let's say if it's a makeup exam, you don't want to assign it to everyone. So you can type in the name of the student here and say, this is you, this is for you, and this is the deadline for you. And then here is the due date. So you click here, and then it says due date, today is 8. Let's say I wanted this to be submitted by Sunday the 14th. Here you can specify the time. It defaults to 11:59. If you want to say, let's say 8 o'clock, you come here and say, you say 8 p.m. It makes it 8 p.m. here. This is availability. When it's visible to the student, you can say from now. Basically, it's from 12 a.m. April 8th. And then this is basically till when they are allowed to look at it. It means that if you give students a little bit of leeway, you say, okay, you can submit it. This is the deadline. You have 2 more days, but every day you're going to get 10% off. Okay? So you say you can still submit it till 2 days later, but remember that you're going to get penalized. When you do this, it allows them to actually submit the assignment, but it shows us late. Then you can say, okay, how many days late? And it says, on Canvas, it says it was 24 hour late. It was 48 hour late, or 36 hour late. And
It's a good idea to, deduct 10%. Can you set up that deduction automatically or?
not here.
Okay.
Elsewhere you can do that.
Okay, that's right. The gradebook, right?
Yeah, in the gradebook you can assign different modules, but you have to sort of plan for it ahead of time.
Okay.
Meaning that you have to separate those assignments. Okay, so here let's say I want to say up to 16, for example. This means that this is available to the students. Then here you can save it. If you want to publish it and save it, you can click it here. This means that this is available to the students now.
So if you choose first save, it will save but not publish. So
Yes,
you can
just
go
save
back
it,
and publish
you can
it.
publish it on your own, yes.
Okay.
And you can still come back here and click on unpublish, and it will unpublish it for you. Now this assignment, you see now it's listed on the assignment. Also, if you go back to the module, it's available in the module as well. Okay, and additional resources, I normally put this here for if there's some extra things I want the student to look at and things like that, I'll list it here. And so we did week 1, and this is the way I normally organize it. You can also do it differently, and some people want to be more elaborate.
Would you go back to the homework 1 page, please?
Sure.
Yeah. The
I
one
can-
previous one.
Homework 1,
Yeah,
you can click
yeah.
here.
And then on the bottom you see rubric, so that's mean the same, so you can.
Yeah,
make
that's
it-
right. You can specify the rubrics. Yeah,
Oh,
good point.
okay.
You can say what is the criterion, how many points to what, and then you can list
Oh.
what sort of. So it's actually a creative rubric. You can specify exactly what is the criterion, how many points for what.
So normally you could do your highly effective.
Yeah,
highly
initial,
developed.
developed,
Right.
emerging, developed, highly developed.
Yeah.
So you could give points with that too.
Yes.
If they are at different levels.
So you identify which level that is, and automatically gets calculated. Yeah. There's also, you can search for rubrics, actually, it helps. There are some stuff which is available.
Some language.
Yeah. All right, so,
But could you tell how to relate the course learning outcome to that rubric?
you have to list that. Basically, it is supposed to, you see here it says add criteria. So this is where you enter your, basically,
The learning outcome.
outcome. Yes, you have to enter all of those over here. You specify what the, so basically you need to put it in the outcome first. You list it over here, and then you can relate it to those. So it has to be listed.
So you're going to show the example, right?
I don't have an example right now,
Okay.
but if you need, you can do it some other time.
Would you say that rubrics are something that you would want to have for maybe a select number of assignments, but not for all of them?
That's correct, yes.
Because otherwise it gets very laborious too. Or you could create a rubric for students that have to grade somebody else. That's
Peer
like
review.
what we call
Yeah,
it, peer review.
that's right, yes.
Okay.
The signature assignment.
Yeah, signature assignment is one that requires rubrics,
Yeah.
yeah.
That we have to the grader, right? At least he knows the criteria.
Yeah, sure, you can share it with them as well, yeah, exactly.
So each module, whether it's weekly, weekend, or online, is an effective way to identify what your objectives are, what your lecture notes for that module is, whether it's weekend or whatever, and then the
Right.
deliverables.
And what I normally do in order to simplify this process, I basically do this. I make a dummy module, basically, that I say
Fine.
week, yes, X, and then I say XX like this. And then I'll add more or less these sort of things there.
Yeah.
So right now, let's say I have this one, so I can come here and I say, where's the duplicate? Okay, so maybe not.
Is it on the left?
No, it should be there. It's duplicate, yeah. So here I add another one that says, I just add the labels here. Basically, I say
Learning outcomes or?
week X objectives. This makes life a lot easier if you do this ahead of time.
Okay.
So this is week X lecture notes. And then I said deliverables or homework, whatever you. And then here, additional resources here. So now, let's say I have this template generated. So if I want to do week 2, I come here and say duplicate. Now it makes this, and then I move this up, like here. And then I come and edit it.
Yeah.
So this becomes week 2, and let's say this is week 2nd of, so this is like 8, and then 6, 8 to 6, 16, something like this. And then I remove the copy, and then here is come here, edit again. And so on and so forth. So you keep this basically as your, and you can modify this the way you want it to see more fit to your needs. But making a template like this and then duplicating it every week or every weekend, it helps a lot. Let's say if for the weekend classes, you can make it a little bit more refined, morning session, afternoon session, in-class exercise, whatever you need, you can put all of this as a part of the template and duplicate it. So it becomes, generation of this becomes a lot easier.
How about, do you use Blueprint?
I don't. I'm not very familiar with that, but.
Okay.
But another question might be.
Because I know you just campus from other universities, right? So how do they manage some special template and special look and feel?
Normally, the way this design that I introduced, I got some feedback from an instructional design coordinator at school, because this is especially important for online.
Yeah.
For consistency purposes.
Yeah.
And those schools, they offer a lot of online classes.
Uh-huh.
So they basically they told me that, okay, you have to have this general look and feel
Yeah.
for the week so that students they see the same thing. It's easy for them. And then, for example, again, one of the things that should go, for example, to the top level, the general area, is a Zoom link. If you are doing an online class and you have a Zoom session, well, that's a recurring problem. So if you put a link there that all the students have to do, just click on that link, and it gets them to the right, Zoom session.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it could be tricky.
Yeah.
They forget it's a long number and they don't remember,
Yeah.
and so
So
on.
they don't
So
read the announcement
That's
or
right.
whatever. Okay.
And so these are the things that you can. So that's what they suggested, that you should have this kind of feel and look.
So this is an instructional design.
Yeah, and then what they do is actually, I guess, when there's a person in charge of this, you design your class, they get in, they look at it, and said, yeah, this place, change this, change that, or do this, do that. They make suggestions.
Sure. So is it who does that review?
The person hired for this purpose is,
Oh, so
it's-
they have
it's-
special.
they have a specialty in this. They have some
Instructional
degree.
designers.
Designers, yes.
Do we have?
We don't have
They
that.
don't have
We're
that.
going-
So
that's-
you and Patty.
Yeah, we're gonna be making that job description.
But there are nice templates, so they offer to give you some
Yes.
templates also.
Yeah, we can follow
Exactly.
those.
Yeah. Actually, we're thinking about using the blueprint to fulfill the requirements and.
Yeah,
And
as I
already-
said, this is just a suggestion. You don't have to, basically. But this shows you how you can use module, for example,
Yeah,
so
that's
for
nice.
the purpose of this, yes.
Is there a way to set up something where it would be more like for an online class where you'd have a check mark on some of the things that you're doing? You know, if you've ever taken a Coursera course, they have like mark as completed and you check it.
Yeah.
Have we ever done that?
Yeah, I think on Moodle there's such a thing, there's a checkbox but on
Not on
Canvas, I haven't seen it.
But Canvas, you can also put on the prerequisite. So if after you finish week 1, then week 2 will appear. Otherwise, week 2 will not appear. So they have that learner path prerequisite.
We would need to ask about that.
Yeah, maybe it's, you mean make it conditional, basically.
Yes, the prerequisite for the learner path. I know that feature.
The other thing is the discussion, similar to discussions elsewhere, basically, is that if you want to pose a question and you want your online class to interact and give some suggestions. A lot of students also use this in discussion panel for asking questions from each other. What did you do about this assignment, or are you supposed to upload it, or are you supposed to hand it in? And they answer their own questions. I mean, it's for instructors to check as well, but
Is there a feature of a group chat room?
I think the discussion, this is what I've seen.
That's what it is,
That's
okay.
right, yeah.
Well, they also have a group discussion, so you can specify only that the discussions within a group.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also there's a tag, so when students are talking amongst themselves, is there a specific tag for the professor to get involved in those discussions?
Yeah, I think this one might be one that says conferences. So I'm just looking at it, I haven't used it myself. Conduct virtual lectures, virtual office hours, and student groups. Yeah, that's probably it. Broadcast real-time audio and video, share presentation slides, give demonstration application and resources.
In real time, so we don't need, so it's something like,
This is like a Zoom.
yeah, so we don't need Zoom, we just use this function. I don't know how to use
We
it.
might have to play around with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be.
Only-
Zoom, the only thing, I don't know if it allows you recording or not. Zoom lets you record and then
Right.
display it later.
And maybe here it's just a placeholder because we need some tool in it, right?
That's
So
right.
here,
Actually,
I guess they need to import some.
Zoom allows you to record and post in the cloud, and others can read it.
Correct, exactly.
Right.
Actually, if you add a conference, we will see what's available.
If you want to communicate, send emails to students, here you can use the inbox. It basically shows you all the emails that you received, and if you want to, this is for all your classes. It combines everything. If you're teaching 3 classes, it shows a list of all the, and if you need to send an email address, an email, compose an email. You can select a course, this one, or whatever. And then it lists to, click here, it shows teachers, everyone involved. So here there's only 2. And then you can specify the topic, type it here and send it.
Yeah, so a good practice is we don't use our Google account outside in the Google, so only use it in here.
Yeah. There might be a way to tie it to Google as well.
Yeah, there is, I think.
There
we
is,
have it.
because I receive, every time I send an email to students, I receive a copy
Yeah.
through my Google account as well.
Yeah,
So there's a way, but this is something
Link
that the administrator needs to sort of take care of it. Let's see what else is here.
so, but in general, what you would say right now is you've shown us 90% of what you need to check out,
Exactly.
to do.
If you do all of this,
Then
you're
you're covered.
ready to get your course rolling, basically.
Okay. So then there would only be fine tuning things like how you want the assignment to be graded maybe, or how you, if you want to do something different with the assignment or different
Yeah.
with the assessment or rubric
That's
or
right.
whatever. Okay, all right. And in inbox, you go through, you go into like your settings, is that what you do? And you kind of turn things on, like you're gonna get updates daily, you're gonna get
Yeah,
updates weekly or monthly.
so here, if I go to that. Settings is another whole thing that.
Yeah. it's
So
pretty
now
involved.
let's say, last thing, let me wrap this up. So let's say if I've done all of this and I want to make sure that this is a published course. So you click here and it says this course is publishes the course. But you see all of these still are grayed out because they won't see anything. So if you click here, this is actually a good tool
Yeah.
because it shows you what the students see. In EMS, we had this issue, that it was hard to figure out what students see. And here, this shows you, it says you're entering student view, and they say this is what the students see.
Yeah.
So if you haven't published it properly, this is what the students see. Nothing,
Because
right?
they're not published yet.
That's right. Well, I published it, but I haven't published the modules.
Individual, okay. And also what I love is it's got that big bold pink bar, so you know
Exactly.
you're in the student view.
That's right.
And you just click on leave student view.
Leave student view and we get back to. So here you need to basically go here and publish all of this to make sure that you have this, and this is,
But this would be another way that, like for an online class, what I do is I set it all up ahead of time and then I just publish those as the
at
week
that,
comes.
exactly. This is how it normally happens. And then, you see you have to update this to show you what areas have been, so all of this becomes green indicating they've been published. But you gotta make sure that in your file section, otherwise they won't, students won't see it. See if you do that. Oh, sorry. Also, it has analytics. It will show you how many students, how many times this file was checked. So you can sort of check to see which student is active, which one is inactive. A student has never checked the website at all. You can also look at things like that. So if I check, this is a good tool to sort of figure out, okay, so the students will see this, but let's say if I click on this, okay, so the student can see this. And if it's a PDF or Word format, actually it displays the content. So you can check it. It uploads the file. It's a little bit slow.
This is the same box, that's why it's still slow.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it just shows the content. So I know that this student will see this, so and you can go through it. Let me see if there's anything else. So these are the basic stuff. The rubrics and setting up the outcomes is something that requires a little bit more work.
And quizzes.
Yeah, quizzes is also you can set it up.
Similar to our EMS.
Yeah, that's right. You can basically have to generate the quiz, add a quiz and say what time and
Yeah, and then
graded quiz. If you have a set of questions, you can upload it, otherwise you can type it here and then you can specify again as an assignment.
Oh, see, they have a mastery path. Can you show that?
Which one? I'm sorry.
Up, yeah, see, details, questions, and mastery path. So how, do you use that?
No, actually, I don't use this tool, this aspect of it at all. I normally just give the quiz and do it as assignment. This is something that in other schools what they do is they have something called a lockdown browser, which means the student, when they log into that browser, they have to use that. They can go out. If you want to be closed book,
No
you can
cheating.
control.
Oh.
Okay, so this means that they cannot do this outside that browser.
Oh.
So they can take it at their own time at home, but they cannot do Google search and copy and paste.
You called that a lockdown?
It's called lockdown browser.
Okay.
Okay.
That's some feature that I know at San Jose State they have that feature.
Okay.
It's not perfect, but
It's better than
So
not at all.
and it's integrated with the campus.
yeah, it's actually one of the links here is lockdown browser.
Oh, in the setting?
Inside here it shows up.
Oh, really?
Ah,
Yeah.
so it's not showing here right now.
No, right now we don't have that feature yet.
We might need to add that app or ask about it.
Yeah.
It's different, so.
So one thing that you can use for settings here, you see, it's basically, you can set things up in order to see what sort of features.
I'm sorry, can I go back to the lockout? So if you lock out the quiz or the
app?
exam, so student cannot leave this screen to go to do, right?
To do
Any
Google.
research.
Yeah, no Google.
That's what one of the faculty who is teaching online in online university says. You can lock out the student. They cannot do anything, so you can prevent
Yes,
plagiarism.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but do we need to use the apps to, it's an external apps, right, the lock?
Correct.
The lock
It's not
down
something
browser,
here.
yeah,
that
so
you
you
have to
need to-
add.
Add that, connect it with the apps.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
okay.
But one thing I want to show you, this is not necessarily at this stage, is not as crucial.
Mm.
But let's say you've done a course 3 semesters ago, and it's a repeat,
Yeah,
and you want to transfer
Transfer.
the content to the
right.
next one.
Export, yeah.
And then you can, rather than, it's easier if you go to the new shell that has been generated, which is empty, and you click on the settings and you come to import course content. So if you click on this one, it says which previous course do you want to use. You click here and say, is it a Canvas course? You say yes, or let's say, and then it lists, I have, let's say I want to copy from here. Okay. I don't do it because it's the same thing, so,
Yeah.
but you can click here and it says, do you want all the content, or maybe you just want the lecture notes, you've changed some stuff, or you want assignments, all the assignments as well. So if you say all content, it will says, do you want to adjust the dates and events based on the starting and end? So it'll shift all the course or the assignment dates based on what you specify. It's tricky because sometimes there's in our school it's not that much, but other places they have a spring break, so things shift around a little bit. But
But
it
you
makes,
can still do that and then
Yeah.
adjust them.
yeah, you can
Yeah.
definitely do.
But like the module, you put the hard code the time that needs to manually change, right?
That's correct, yeah, that's right.
But it wasn't, I mean, it doesn't have much changes, so.
No, it's just that it transfers and then you have a majority of the course gets transferred, the content gets transferred.
Yeah,
And then this way you can basically reuse some of the content.
yes, that's very good.
Wow, that's great. Really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then here you could, if you want to add, let's say, a picture of yours here, and you want to add additional emails, that gets transferred if you want to. Okay, so profile here, click on the profile, it says, if I edit profile, this is, you can put bio here, you can put links.
You just click on your picture right there to add another
Exactly.
photo.
Upload a picture, take a picture, things like that.
Do you use e-portfolios? Do you use those?
No,
Yeah, for
I
younger
don't use that, but this is good if you want to basically document your research or papers you publish and things like that, you want to include it here,
Mm-hmm.
then
Okay.
this is a place to put it. The settings allows you to see, here I have my email, I can add another email address if you want. You can add other contact methods.
Oh, change your time.
Yeah,
Right now
it's
it's
the time,
multi-time.
exactly. If you want to use add Google, right now nothing is added, but if you want to link Google Drive, for example, to share cloud stuff. And I think those other features that we mentioned is probably show up in this list and you registered.
Peter and his team were turned on or something, I
Right.
think. So can I ask one more thing about
Sure.
files? Can you go back to files? So essentially what you're saying is if you set them up per class, and you set them up in a way that's helpful where you've got on your PC, you've got whatever it is, objectives, homework, and lecture notes.
Yeah.
And so then it's pretty much just like copying and pasting into what you've got here.
Exactly.
Okay, all right.
If you organize it better over there,
Then it's
I
better.
think, yeah, it's easier to manage things here. And the first few times I did it, I had it all in a single directory. And it was confusing to search for the files, especially if the number of files gets too many, there are too many of them. It's hard to, but this is more organized if you break it up, yes.
Yes, one thing I just experiment, I can zip up my course because it has the file structure, right? I think zip it up and then import it into Canvas and as an unzip file. That it can maintain all the file structure. So this is
okay,
very good. So you don't need to put it one by
One
one,
by
just
one. Yeah,
one
that's true.
one time. So that's what I share with you. import the zip file and yeah.
Correct.
So I think that would be a good trick.
We should see that again sometime. We should do that.
I can show it to you. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, Dr. Jahan can just say, hey, so you zip up a
A specific.
a folder, yeah, zip up a folder, and then import into Canvas as an unzip file. That's it, very easy. Then it maintains all the file structure. So say you can zip up your financial ENG. No, go out.
Well, he's doing all three, what he was showed us before in terms of files that he wants to import. So
Yeah.
if he does that
Yeah.
as a zip,
Right.
then he could
Yes.
basically save it
Yes, and then import it.
later if he wants to do that.
I think that's a very good trick. Yes, and then go to
Is it fine? I
yes,
think
yes,
it's setting.
setting, and then right
Now to
at the top.
import, yes.
Yeah.
Is it here?
Yes, and then import, and then there's an option called click it, yeah. Unzip file, yes, that's it. Very nice. And then you just choose your zip file. And then select the folder. So the default will be the course file.
Where you want it to
Yes,
be.
you just use that as a top. And then everything will unzip very nicely. So now you go to the file.
Yeah, duplicate it, correct.
Yeah. That's why. This is just one.
Yeah, that's a good trick. Yes, you're right.